You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Hey guys, and welcome to Game Control Live. We're going to be talking a lot of Nintendo, so we got the Zelda Nintendo rap from the Japanese commercial back in Super Nintendo Link to the Past I was playing. Because we might just have to rip them a little bit. But before we get to that, let me introduce across the table Grant Kohrmann.
Howdy, everybody.
And next to him, the lovely Raychul Moore.
Hi.
I'll give you one.
And next to me, Kaori Takee.
Hey.
And guys, I'm Dave Klein. And in the booth, as always, John Quick.
Yes, that is right. This is John, the man Quick. I don't have a funny little intro, as everyone can see, but you know who does on the couch? We currently have Dave.
We currently have Rob Manuel.
Oh my God, how did I get here?
We just transported you onto the couch.
I was so drunk last night. Just wound up
He's
here.
been on the couch for a while.
Exactly. I just woke up, too.
So Rob Manuel, formerly of X-Play, also part of the internet team for Gene 4, heading the indie writing, and now currently at Game Trailers.
Yes, that's right.
So quite the slew, quite the resume. We're happy to have you.
Oh, thanks for letting me be here.
No, well, thank you for coming. And we're going to talk about, guys, today, Nintendo placing ads on Let's Play videos. What do you guys think? What do we think? A whole slew of quick hit news stories, our gaming moments of the week, a bunch of quotes from around the industry, and the current state of indie gaming. But before we jump into all that, it is one of our hosts' birthdays today. Across the table, Rachel's birthday is today.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
So make sure to wish her a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Tweet at her at the Rachel.
Or, you know what they can do better yet, Dave?
They could even call in. So you guys make sure
That's true.
So if you guys are on the live chat and watching, or anyway you're watching, make sure you can call in at 424-256-1729 if you have any thoughts on any of the stories, or call in just to wish Rachel a very happy birthday.
Pick up the phone.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Nintendo, though, because Nintendo's big news story is that they have decided to place ads at both possibly the front, the tail end, and maybe inside of their Let's Play videos that various YouTubers are posting. And Rachel, you do a lot of Rachel Plays videos, and I want to know what your thoughts were on this.
Rachel advertises now.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of understand. I mean, it kind of sucks for the YouTuber, but I totally understand. If I was Nintendo, I'd do the same thing.
Like, just cash in on it.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of free advertisement already because we are playing their games and we're, doing it for
very
them.
Promotional. I mean, no one was like really ruining the entire story of all the Nintendo games. It's been promotional for the most part already.
Well,
I do understand, though, from a business side, why they would want to do that.
But do they have a right to do it? Like, I think that's the big question.
Yeah.
Like, if you actually have the video and you're actually playing and you bought it and stuff like that, and you're actually commenting on it, like, there's sort of this really weird sort of copyright law that as long as you're talking about it and making some sort of commentary on the game, then you're free to do as you sort of go along. It's a very sort of gray area.
Yeah, DMCA kind of like opened up in the last couple years to really allow for that, like, and to allow YouTubers and creative professionals more freedom though as well.
Yeah, because if I purchase something, I should be able to do whatever I want with it after I've purchased it.
Well, they're to an extended
Software
limit.
is where
you can't just like copyright.
There.
You can't just.
Have you ever
pirate
read
it.
the little book that comes with your software, your video games?
You don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
you
Microsoft
hardly know that.
I mean, Microsoft actually just changed their rules, their terms, and their rules to try and compensate for Let's Play videos, and they changed their rules around so things like this, they could get paid and they could get compensated, and that's one of their rules now and bylines when you play a Microsoft game. But I do want to say what Nintendo's quote is, which is that they came out and said, As part of our ongoing push to ensure Nintendo content is shared across social media channels in an appropriate and safe way, we became a YouTube partner as such in February 2013. We registered our copyright content in the YouTube database. For most fan videos, this will not result in any changes. However, for those videos featuring Nintendo-owned content such as images or audio of a certain length, adverts will now appear at the beginning, next to, or at the end of the clips. We continually want our fans to enjoy Nintendo content on YouTube, and that is why, unlike other entertainment companies, we have chosen not to block people using our intellectual property.
Right,
and
see,
I do
that's
think
different.
that's good that at least they're not going that far.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
there are companies like when I first
Why
put up,
would they block it though?
well, when I first put up
Unless
Tomb
it's like
Raider,
really scandalous.
Yeah,
it was kind of sketchy because they were actually pulling down and flagging people's
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
accounts who did Let's Plays. So I mean, at least they're not pulling
A
them.
couple of companies have actually pulled down Let's Plays because they want to focus on certain aspects or certain games rather than like maybe older titles.
Yeah.
I know there was like I can't remember off the top of my head, but there were like a couple of newer titles that were coming out, and so I think some companies started like pulling down like some of the older like Let's Plays, which is a very odd sort of tactic.
Has it been the
Yeah.
PR companies or like a third party? I think up until now.
I think it's like it's one of the once again, this is like a brave new world that no one really knows how to get into, and I think Nintendo it sounds like Nintendo is supporting these Let's Plays as they go along. But they're also sort of like piggybacking on sort of like, okay, all this stuff is going in. Maybe you're not buying the game, but at least you can watch the ads
Yeah.
Right.
that go along with
That's
it.
what really annoys me.
And
is
as
like
lines-
the ad thing really is like intrusive. I mean, it doesn't
I
seem
disagree.
intrusive at the beginning, but then if you think about it, when they say in front of, at the end of,
Look.
or alongside, that basically means that anybody who posts a Let's Play video that includes, I mean, we're going to
But
assume
look, you
over
watch,
a certain amount of content
you watch
means
an
2
hour-long
minutes
video,
or more.
though. You watch an hour-long video.
I
I don't
made
think
an
as
hour-long
much.
video.
But that's how a lot of these Let's Play
Yeah.
videos are. They're they're an
At
hour long.
At least,
Yeah.
and they're boring.
But the thing is, I don't. But the thing is, I don't think it's that much to
Rich
ask.
is like, nah.
I
Mine
don't.
are awesome.
But the thing is, I don't think it's that much to ask for like 1 minute of an ad at the beginning
That's
for
true.
an hour of free content. I don't think that's a big deal.
no,
One
Right.
of the more prominent and more business-oriented YouTube Let's Players or YouTube commentators and streamers, Total Biscuit, brought up the idea of, will this hamper journalists as well? And I tend to think that Nintendo will stay away from journalists and people who are doing like honest-to-goodness reviews or like compilations.
Well, you have a
of
whole
their
lot of
content.
copyright laws for journalists where you can talk about it,
Yeah.
and as long as it's a short amount of time, there's no way that they can really budge into those specific laws that protect
And
journalists.
that's also very different. Like you're looking at journalists not necessarily posting on YouTube,
Right.
being the place like everyone.
But we are starting to like.
It's true,
Yeah.
like it is, and so the question that comes up: if there's like a GameSpot does their
Yeah.
own version of Let's Play for a Nintendo game, does Nintendo then have the right to put a commercial in front of that, or in the middle, or at the very end of that?
And I was
Right.
thinking a more than a certain amount of content probably meant like, okay, it wasn't going to be like 2 minutes or 4 minutes, but it would be like 5, 6, 7.
Right.
And that would fall into the 10-minute playthroughs that we used to do for the
For
G4
G4.
TV website
right, exactly.
and everything.
The
and like,
first 15.
yeah, the first 15, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, my concern is where they're going to place the ad. If they put it in the middle or even
Well, no, they can't.
But I mean,
they
you
can
know,
only
they-
pretty much put it at the beginning.
But I mean,
or
I'm
the
sure
end
like the
for
middle would be the
YouTube.
little pop-up
the little
that comes up.
pop-ups are what
Yeah.
comes up.
When they
don't
said
cut it.
aside, I'm assuming that means that, okay, well, any
like a
ad
banner
revenue
ad.
brought from the
Yeah.
ads shown on the side of a person's YouTube stream would also go to Nintendo.
But
Basically,
here's-
when they claim copyright, all the ad revenue for the entire page
Yeah.
goes to them.
So
a little
Lions fan
banner.
on the chat says Nintendo is so desperate to make money, can't believe they would place ads in the videos. That is the point. Do they have the right to do that? And I think they do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the issue that you have to me is that these Let's Play people are essentially providing them free advertising. I think that's kind of interesting with what you were saying, Rob, because I know there are a couple Let's Play videos I do like watching for old games that maybe I don't have time to play anymore while I'm doing something on the side. And it kind of makes me want to play them again. And maybe
Yeah.
I'll go on to Nintendo and go to the virtual console and buy a game I wasn't going to buy. So I think it provides free advertising, as we
Yeah.
were talking about. But is this going to deter Let's Play people from doing it if they're not making money anymore
Well,
from
see,
doing these videos?
For the way I see it is anybody. I don't think they're going to put ads on the kid in high school that puts it up and has 5 subscribers. They're going to go for the bigger people. The people making money off of Let's Plays already have ads on their videos, so you're going to have to watch an ad no matter what. I would rather watch a Nintendo ad before a Nintendo game than a toilet paper ad before
But
a
you
Nintendo
wouldn't get any
person-
of the revenue.
Yeah.
But the person posting, if they don't get any revenue, are they going to keep making those videos? That's the question.
Well,
Like let's just put it this way: like if you play a large array of games, but let's just pretend that if all the publishers had the same policy as Nintendo does, would you be angry that all of a sudden your ad revenue from YouTube disappeared?
Well, personally, I don't put ads in front of my Let's Plays, so I don't really make the money off of the Let's Plays. But people who do, yes, I think that would totally suck.
But the thing is, like, unless you are a Let's Play like Nintendo person, all this is going to do is if you are
And there
someone.
are a couple.
Yeah, there are a couple, but
Yeah.
unless you absolutely depend on Nintendo games, this isn't going to like change that in any sort of.
One of the things
like you're
that-
just going to move people away from Nintendo.
Right, and
games.
that's kind of how I feel too. I agree with that.
The PS4 announcement is really interesting because, like, obviously the console manufacturers are going to start heading towards being able to stream stuff
yeah.
right out of it, and I wonder if they're going to claim content rights from out of the gate on that kind of stuff.
Right. I mean, Microsoft just released their Twitch TV ad, which even though you can't, stream anything into it or do anything like that, you can still watch it. And I have a feeling like they're looking into how can we get our content, or how can we get more of the social content in between things, like get people excited about these games.
Well, the Call of Duty, they're saying that, like if you want to post a match after you play the game, you're going to be able to do it really quickly with the video sharing and everything. And then the PS4 is focused on that. I can't imagine that the new Xbox that's going to be announced later next week is going to be any different.
I mean, I know when I watch Let's Play videos, though, I don't do it on my console. I do it on YouTube when I'm doing something else. So it's kind of like background noise for me. And
but
Sony
what are they all
rumors,
produced on?
Yeah, but that's true. But Sony Rumors on the chat is saying, is kind of mentioning what I mentioned, which is if you watch for 30 minutes, let alone an hour, is 1 minute of an ad a really big deal? And I don't think so. Sony Rumors, I agree with you. I don't think it's a big deal. But we have a bunch of quick hit news stories to try and hit. And our first one relates to Nintendo. So we'll move
next
keep
week,
on moving
I
to
promise.
Nintendo.
We won't talk about Nintendo.
Yeah, it just
love
keeps on
Nintendo.
coming up.
Nice.
It's okay.
I mean, I love Nintendo, but they keep on coming up.
We'll talk about Nintendo. That's what they want.
So they had another Nintendo Direct yesterday, and it was supposed to be for them to talk about Wii U, and I was a little disappointed, and by little I mean very disappointed by
I think
this
this
Nintendo
is going to be
Direct.
a reoccurring thing, this Nintendo Direct. You know, you don't quote me. I might be wrong, but I think they might be trying it over and over again. It's going to be a
No,
a
I don't
recurring
disagree
theme.
with you, but if they're going to do the Nintendo Direct,
That was
I want there to
sarcasm.
be
I
an
know it's
announcement.
gonna
Fine. Look, let me quote you on that. But look, yeah, I don't. I would expect them to actually do announcements. Their only real announcement in this Nintendo Direct was the new Sonic game that Sega's making. That was the only real announcement, and they didn't even show footage. It's just like, get excited for us to show you footage.
The Lost World or something.
Right,
Yeah.
but they announced that they had like a deal with Sega, so they have these three games.
That's
these
pretty-
three
that was what
which is a
everybody
big
was
deal.
talking
Like
about.
Yeah.
if you are a big Sonic fan, all of a sudden, like the next three games that you're looking forward to is only going to be on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And
Although,
now they do have Mario
for
and
those
Sonic
really big
exclusives.
Sonic fans, they haven't really been impressed by the last couple Sonic releases.
The last one was the Generations.
Yeah, Generations
That
was
was
alright.
okay.
That was good.
That was a good one.
And the
Yeah.
Sonic 4 episodes have been pretty good, so...
The 1 or 2?
Sonic 4, episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, those were the last big games they had, though, were Generations and Sonic 4, episode 1
Yeah.
and 2. So they've been doing better. I always hope.
Once again, there's someone out there who loves this game. So yeah, this is.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to play with you all with some frongs. You didn't see that in Nintendo Direct?
That was great.
Mikey,
Some what?
Frongs.
Thongs?
Frongs.
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 What the
I'm glad
hell?
Rachel went to thongs, though.
Mikey Poo in the chat, he actually said that after watching the Nintendo Direct yesterday, he put his Wii U up for sale on Craigslist.
I don't think he
yeah.
really did. I think
don't-
he's
that's-
being silly.
Yeah, that is.
Well, that doesn't mean he has to actually sell it. He just put it up, like, we'll see. Show us the proof of receipt, like the proof that you shipped it, Mikey, and then we'll
mean,
deal
look,
with it.
And you will make an additional $5 because I will send them to you.
Why would you sell your Wii U right before Pikmin 3?
Well, also right before E3's
Because
about to
Worst
hit.
idea
Yeah.
ever.
There are some frustrated fans. I will admit this. They,
Yeah.
people are a little bit turned off by the fact that what the last 2 weeks? What did we cover? We covered like developers and
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of
publishers
changes.
saying like we're out of this. Our developer consoles are collecting dust. Like this, the Nintendo Direct like brought out some nice news with Sega and everything, but like this is enough. The last couple weeks have been enough to get some people pretty frustrated.
Oh, I thought one thing that was cool is they did say that they will have demos at Best Buy.
I totally agree with that. And there's something that also I want to comment on. Hayden Gorange on the chat commented, all Nintendo has announced since the Wii U release are announcements, and they're not going to E3. It's not looking that good. They are going to E3. They are showing developers something. They're just not having a major press conference like they did before. So I want to make sure you realize that. But I agree with what you're saying, Kaori. I actually think the fact that they're going to have demos of their E3 games at Best Buy is a really smart push for the Wii U. Because it's a way to try to get gamers who don't realize there's this new content coming out for Wii U. They're hanging out Best Buy to buy a new game, and all of a sudden they're going to play a demo of a game that maybe they want to play. I think it's a brilliant idea.
But that's what they have already. Like that's what do I get
I think they're just redirecting their marketing.
But you don't see that at Best Buy, though. You know, you get excited to play those games at E3, but no one else can play them.
You're right. But still, at the same time, like you're looking at, like once again, we have a very small stack of games that we're looking at. We're looking at demos that are going to be coming out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're going to have that at Best Buy.
I think they're just repurposing their marketing push. It's not going to be wasted all on the press people and industry people at E3. It's probably going to be refocused onto more like accessible fans and the consumer.
And I think with this whole like Let's Play stuff, they're looking at more like this outside source, like these outside people who have like sort of like gone off the fringe of like traditional media where you can actually reach more people that way.
I wonder if they'll actually use it to pimp Nintendo typed advertisements, or if they'll just take revenue and leave the advertising up to YouTube on those, because that would be really interesting to get like that whole Nintendo.
But as far as what you're saying, Rob, with them trying to reach outside people than you would normally get, that's why I think the Best Buy thing is a smart push, because that's a way to get people excited who wouldn't normally.
But I think they're just announcing like things that they would do naturally.
No,
like I mean, like if you look at the Wii U, like as soon as like E3 hit last year, they had like a ton of demos that were up for that as well. It's just like, hey guys, remember that thing that we usually do all the time? We're doing that thing. Get excited.
I'm excited.
I'm glad people will be able to get to play Pikmin 3 on a demo at Best Buy. But I'm expecting people will be able to play a demo of Pikmin 3 at Best Buy.
Well, I'm hoping it'd be like Smash Brothers, like 6 months ahead of time. That's what I was hoping it would be when they said that.
Oh God, can you imagine?
Not Pikmin 3 2 weeks ahead of time.
The demo kiosk is just like covered in grime before the game actually comes out.
But yeah, because look,
it's like black
because to me that's what I was thinking. That's what would get people excited. That's a game you would never be able to play normally 6 months ahead of time unless you're at E3.
But once again, like they're doing all these Nintendo Directs, which they're very much controlling the message that's coming out. So we are going to be talking about these games at these times, and we can wait because we know exactly when we're going to talk about this game, when this is going to come out. At this time, we can talk about this.
And that's what Microsoft and Sony are technically doing anyway. They're streaming their live events. They're going to do the same thing. It's just that Nintendo's really coming out and like they're doing a press release with it. They're saying like, hey, look at us, we're doing it.
Well,
now.
At the same time, like Microsoft is having their big announcement coming this week. And then, 19 days from now, it's E3, so it's another press conference. It's basically a press conference. Then 19 days, it's another press conference.
They're more connected with their fans because they used to rely on the media outlets to get the word out at E3, and now they're going right to their fans with their consoles and their websites and their streaming capabilities.
People are understanding like how social works. They understand like it's not necessarily you go to your GameSpots or you go to your, your bigger companies. You're now going to Joe Schmo on YouTube who's streaming this stuff, who can reach out to like 10,
Joe Schmo.
Joe Schmo. He's got a lot of followers.
He's a really big YouTuber.
He's a great YouTuber.
I follow Joe Schmo.
But like Total Biscuit, like you go to someone like him and it's just like, hey, we got this game, can you show it off, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to reach, 100,000 people.
Nice audience.
Yeah, a good chunk of people into that. And then you can go to different people to do that. Yeah, you're gonna be able to reach maybe even more people than before.
So I want to jump back on the Best Buy thing real quick because we had comments on the chat, which is R. Burton saying, or Sony Rumor saying, is Best Buy really an important game destination? Same with GameStop. Are they not irrelevant at this point? DeadFat says the only thing I go to Best Buy for is movies. Haven't touched their game section in years. And Ryan Whittleson on the chat says, I was just in Best Buy and didn't even touch the game section. But as you're saying, they're trying to control their message, and let's stop playing into their fingers and actually say something pretty negative about Nintendo on the reverse side, which is EA is now apparently also dropping out on the Wii U. They came out with a statement saying that they're currently Quote, "We have no games in development for Wii U currently," according to Jeff Brown, a spokesperson for EA.
Yeah, it was pretty
so
blunt.
Currently, nothing in development, and we had a whole slew of tweets that were removed from Twitter from certain Somerville, Bob Somerville, who is a senior software engineer and architect for EA, kind of completely throwing Nintendo and Wii U down the gutter and talking about how much he thinks the Wii U sucks. So I'll go ahead and jump on a couple of those.
Hey, if they're deleted, you might as well.
The Wii, and this is from Bob Somerville's Twitter, at Bob Somerville, if you'd like to tweet at him. "The Wii U is crap, less powerful than an Xbox 360, poor online store, weird tablet. Nintendo are walking dead at this point. Nintendo's still operating like it's 1990. They should have, quote, done a Sega and offered Mario Zelda as PS4 Durango exclusives."
Oh, snap!
Yeah. And then he got really into it, and eventually he said...
Oh, I thought that was him getting really into it
That was
already.
him saying, "Oh, snap."
Yeah.
Well, but then he eventually said, "Nintendo platforms have always been very poor revenue-wise for third parties. Only Mario and Zelda make money." Which is kind of a sore point for me, because I think that that's because third-party companies have been making shitty games for the Wii and for the Wii U. It's your own fault. Make better games.
No, I agree.
No.
When was the last EA game I played on a Nintendo system? I can't even freaking tell you, because I don't play EA games on my Nintendo system.
It's a weird cycle, because I do think, like, for the Wii at least, there were some really good third-party games that no one ever played, because no one was just like...
I thought the GameCube had good third-party games, and after that I haven't touched a third-party on...
Zack and Wiki, Boom Blocks.
Yeah, Zack and Wiki was great.
Boom Blocks was good.
Boom Blocks was great.
Yeah,
it was
Boom
like
Blocks.
even
Mad World.
Mad World.
Muramasa was good.
Yeah, I mean there's great.
Red Steel 2, number 2, specifically. But that was because Red Steel 1 already flopped pretty hard.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And even the Umbrella Chronicles, I thought was a really great sort of like, you know, railgun shooter. I thought they did a really good job with the railgun. Yeah, see, now you're like, oh yeah.
You'll remember them.
Oh yeah.
Hayden,
I just didn't know that.
And no one bought.
I was going to say, just Hayden made a good comment in the chat. He says, I think Nintendo should take the Sega route and drop their consoles, or perhaps keeping the DS and just produce third-party Mario and Zelda games.
Console.
I really think that they're making good money on the Wii U, honestly.
I think so too, but people
They don't pay me enough to be a CEO or a CFO, so I'm not going to assume that I know the way that these big companies are going to maneuver.
My Wii U, I enjoy it.
I actually, you know what, I do too.
I want more games for it, but the games I do have for it, I really enjoy it. I don't think the tablet's weird. I think it just it just feels right when I play it.
The DDC or DCD just said more like the Wii Boo. Oh.
No. DCD,
I'm sorry,
no.
that's just lame, dude. That's hey.
You know what, I agree with you though,
It made me
Rachel.
smile.
I like my Wii U. I mean, I wish there were more games, but I mean, I was playing Batman Arkham City, felt fine on it. It wasn't a weird tablet. It felt great. And I mean, any game Nintendo makes is awesome, but I do want to see more third-party games, and it just sucks about EA dropping them. But I think that the issue has been, as I was saying, like, yeah, you're right, Rob. There are good games for the Wii that came out that people didn't buy.
No.
But I think it's because people just don't realize those come out, because there's so many major publishers who don't come out with games. Like, anytime that the Wii would get a game, it was usually shovelware or a game that came out on PlayStation 2.
Right.
And the same thing we're seeing with Wii U is all these third-party games that are coming out are games that already came out. So if I had a 360, I just didn't happen to own Arkham City. If I did, I wouldn't have bought it for the Wii U if I bought it a year ago.
I'm gonna be
so what do they think is going to happen?
I'm gonna be the PC guy here and say, not everybody's got a Wii. You know, not everybody's got a Wii.
That's too bad.
I think the Wii is a great platform
There's
for
other news.
social fun.
There's
like
other stuff
family,
going on, people.
Friends all join, get drunk, and play.
It's awesome for that. It's way better than Dance Central.
As soon as
I like Dance Central too.
No.
I'm a dancer, so I like Dance Central.
Dance Central.
So, moving on to our next topic, though, we've got the NVidia Shield, which has been coming out for a while. It finally has a price point, which is $349, because you have to make it sound less expensive than $350.
Yeah.
But $349, and it's going to run Android Jelly Bean 4.21, Google Play and NVIDIA's Tegra Zone. Do any of you guys honestly care about the Shield?
No, I'm sorry.
Their tablet ended up kind of leapfrogging the Shield announcement after GDC and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
last year, like the tablet ended up coming out, and it made its launch date. It wasn't like horribly overpriced. It was a purchasable product from NVIDIA, and Not an NVIDIA. Razer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is just Google Play and TegraZone just don't really have the giant slew of games that iOS has at this point. So
Yeah.
it's
To be fair, Google did announce that they were going to do more of a gaming push.
Yeah.
So like they haven't announced games, but they're looking to do sort of a achievements, bring your friends list in, you know, do all these other things with a push. And I think Google just doesn't. They've even brought in like a couple of like, you know, big game developers to help them like sort of start out with. So
Yeah.
I think Google's looking to it. But right now, yeah, they just don't have any of the games or any of like the big names to really run it.
So it's hard because if you're going to buy a new tablet, because that's what this is, and you're looking at, do I buy an iOS device or this? It's just hard to justify, even though I actually think it's a really cool design because they have the controller and the tablet, which I like. But there's just really, I feel like the content's not there yet. And maybe it will get there, but it's not there yet.
Well, for $350, I kind of feel like my eyes are set on another investment.
Right.
Right, yeah. That's a lot to ask for.
I'm waiting to see how the Xbox looks.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Probably the next console or a tablet.
Right, or you could get a different tablet, or you could get the 3DS. I think the PS Vitas
3DS,
are a little bit more expensive.
Vitas are I actually give Vita a chance.
Yeah.
Give Vita a chance.
You know, Sony's really pushing the Vita, and I really enjoy. I really like that they're bringing in a lot of these new indie games to the Vita. So like, bringing a lot of that stuff and like really pushing that.
What was that one you were just playing? The Guacamole Man?
Guacamole.
Yeah, that one.
Guacamole is so good.
It's a cross-play title too, so like if I didn't really want to play it portably on the PS Vita, I could take it home to the PS3.
Which I've been playing on the PS3, and I have to say that is a hardcore tough game.
Yeah.
For as like beautiful and as like sort of cell shaded as it looks. There are so many great moments, and I'm actually a part of like a group of reviewers. And I remember as soon as that game came out, people would post like pictures where it's like, "How do I get through here? How do I get through here? How do I get through here?"
Like the old school, like sharing strategies for particular levels
because
and everything.
it's literally a game where you take every button on the controller and you have to use it to get through a screen.
I need to play this game. That's
good.
what's happening. I need to play this game.
It is so delightful, and so I'm like at the last boss, and I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, I don't know if I can get through
each of the bosses are increasingly exponentially harder. If you haven't beat it yet,
oh
my God,
I'm like at the last thing, and I'm just looking at this.
Each of them has like a way that you beat it that completely like it will not rely on anything that you've learned in the previous portion of the game. So it's just maddening. The bosses very nearly had me throw down. I was like, it's expensive. I don't want to throw it down.
But they're great because they're still like it's the old school sort of Capcom. We have a pattern, figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get through it. You'll get through it, and as soon as it clicks, like you got them. Like
it's not unforgiving, but it is. You do have to train yourself.
And the great thing is you can also play it with two people. So actually, another friend of mine actually got through the boss because her and her husband would like one of them would die, and they have a thing like the other person respawns after a time. So it was just like keeping alive as long as possible until the other person was alive, and then like getting that one hit in, and the other person would just die, and it'd be like, okay, we got to stay alive.
This sounds like a great title.
So 350, why not Vita?
Right.
Why not?
No, I mean, I honestly, I would rather have a Vita than this. So. For our next topic, though, speaking of prices, Shadow of the Eternals Kickstarter is now live. And, I mean, Rachel and I were both very excited about this.
It took me a while to get in on it. I ended up finding the Kickstarter at the beginning of the week, and at first I was like, I don't know, you mean like the self-organized crowdfunding hasn't been as successful.
Well, let me jump on this. Let me say, so like, as much as we love Eternal Darkness, and Eternal Darkness was amazing, they're asking for a small price. And I usually like supporting games like this, but their goal is $1.35 million. That's what they would like you to raise for them.
Hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with $1.3 million? Like that?
No, and honestly, like to make a game like that, it is going to cost like that.
I'm not saying they don't need that much money. I'm just saying how do we really expect them to raise that much money?
I think what's really important here, I did a write-up of it, and I posted it in the middle of the week. I overanalyzed the shit out of this Kickstarter campaign and the crowdfunding campaign for that. If you notice, very, very quietly, they say they have 12 episodes to get out. It's an episodic adventure.
Right.
1.35 only covers the first episode.
Seriously?
Really?
Yeah. Stretch goals. Stretch goals will
Is
allow
for
them
the
to cover
other
the
episodes going.
Yeah.
So if they say it will be cheaper to create the following episodes, but we should be willing to accept the fact that it will not just cost 1.5 million. It will cost quite a bit more.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that it doesn't cost that much money,
Right.
but I just think. See, like the last game I was really excited about on Kickstarter was Shovel Knight, and that got a big push. I ended up putting into it, but I think they ended up raising about $100,000 of their $60,000 goal. This is 10 times that amount in the same amount of time. So I just think it's a lot to ask for in 30 days. But I'm not saying they can't do it. I think it's hard.
But we've seen, like, for Kickstarter, we've seen a lot of people who ask for, like, what they think is a lot of money, like 100,000, 200,000, stuff like that. People even make 300,000, and still, like, once it comes down to, giving out all the prizes and making all the stuff and so on and so forth.
Well, there's very few physical goods with this Shadows of Eternals. Like, you got posters and books and
still,
stuff, but that's about it. It's not going to have stat users.
I would rather have someone be like, okay, we need just a boatload of money versus someone who's like,
well, I like the Penny Arcade route. They were like, give us $1. Anything over $1, we'll keep it.
But that's ridiculous. That's also like,
yeah, the two extremes.
Yeah, it's like $5. Well, we'll get this whole thing with $5. It's like, why don't just ask for people for money on your site?
But do you really
for me, when I go there and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to support this, it's going to be great, and I see it that much, and they've only got this much.
Yeah,
it's discouraging. I'm like, oh, why should I?
Because it doesn't hurt. Like, there's nothing. Like,
but if it's not going to happen anyways, then why?
I was talking with Dave halfway
because of
through
that
the
attitude.
Week. I said since they're running their own, since they're running,
I don't have a lot of money.
I don't think you have to worry about it because they're running their own personal crowdfunding on the side, and I think if they come up short, they'll end up putting a little bit.
I don't have a lot of money, so like I don't want to like.
But how much money were you going to put in?
Something that's not going to happen anyway.
But it's not like they take your money.
She would have sprung for the vanity tier, like get yourself in the game, or like get a copy of the.
How much is that?
Okay.
You have to pay $150 or more to get a copy of the soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of money.
Okay, so like, how much money were you going to put into the Kickstarter?
Like 20.
Like $20. Okay, so here, this is how the game goes.
5 episodes.
Yeah. Okay. So you put $20 in. So if it makes it, okay, you're down $20, but you got the game. If it doesn't make it, there's nothing. You don't lose the $20.
I don't disagree with you about that, but I'm the same way as Rachel. I saw that the giant price point. I'm like, they've made $60,000 in 5 days, and they need $1 million. Maybe I'll just watch it from the sideline and see what happens.
Basically, what we're saying is, everybody out there, do you want to see another Eternal Darkness? Then get on your computers and just empty your bank accounts right now. Right now. What are you doing watching this show? Go to Kickstarter.
It's not necessarily empty your bank account, but it's just like if you were going into it and be like, I want to be a part of the winning team. And that's why you want to, because I've had talks with people like this, and it's just like Kickstarter is a game.
Well, it's a 50-50. I've supported about 12 projects so far, and I've only really seen what I thought is worthwhile return from them. And this is not including the physical items.
Right.
The Star Command thing kind of turned me off with their dual Kickstarter campaigns. I supported one right when Kickstarter came out, and I've still yet to receive the reward from it. It's a board game, and that was overfunded. It was funded by about like 400%. So like you still have to analyze each on its merits.
Right. Exactly.
What happens if it's underfunded?
It just doesn't get the money. Doesn't go to them.
No money.
Nothing happens.
So then nothing happens, and our money's just
your money.
You don't get charged. So it's basically like you put in like they have like an IOU from you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And so like once it gets funded, like fully funded, then you get charged. But if it does not get fully funded, you never get charged.
Right. So it's kind of just like you don't risk anything that they're not going to make it, because it only happens if they get funded.
Risk,
That's how they make it happen.
Like, exactly. But you only risk something if they actually make their money.
Right.
Because then like you're putting in the $20, and then you're like, oh, and I'm going to see this, and so on and so forth. But some great things have come out of Kickstarter.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Well, don't do it for
I'll do
me.
it for us.
For us, for Eternal Darkness.
Do it for a soundtrack. Do it for a plushie.
For Shadow of the Eternals.
But like, I kind of want to sit down with them and be okay.
Oh, you were asking about the insanity meter. That was confirmed.
Okay, but I want to know if they do it right. Like, I want to sit down with them and be like, look, I will donate more money.
Be a part.
But I need to know.
Order of the Unseen or whatever it is.
I want some new tricks up their sleeves.
No, I just want to talk to them and be like, give me your plan. What are you going to do with the game?
So you want to sit down with them personally?
Yes, and then I will give them more money.
I think the $10,000
I need to know this could be a good Eternal Darkness
game. A little biscotti, a little
Hey, you know what? If they yeah, they have a coffee and biscotti with me. I'll definitely support them.
I need to know.
No, I want to support them. I do. I just think that there are a lot of people out there like Raychul and like I who see something like that goal pointer just like that's kind of ridiculous, and it's hard to want to be inspired to support them as much as I want us to be.
It's always
And I realize what you're saying, Rob. I think you make a good point.
Inspiration.
I think you make the right point, but I'm wondering if there are how many people see it that way, and that's why I'm wondering.
I'm not saying like
that's my speculation. Is
that
will
a lot
people
of people
actually see it that way?
A lot of people will jump onto something that already gets funded or is like 90% funded. I've seen people think goes like, but that's a ridiculous sort of idea that where you're not risking anything. Like if you believe in a project, if like you truly believe, it's like I want to see this happen, you throw in the money.
That's why I need to talk with them to make sure I believe that they can make a good Eternal Darkness.
I think Raychul and Dave do believe in the project. They just don't believe in the $1 million point.
Yeah, but they need $1 million. It's not like okay, can you guys do it at 100,000? It's like no.
It's going to cost a lot of money.
Like I said, I would rather have them do like $1 million and be upfront. And it's like, look, we need this much money in order for this to happen, and be like, okay, this is reasonable. $1 million is reasonable.
In 30 days?
I agree with you. It's better than seeing vaporware happen.
I think they should have gone for a little bit longer. Like, I don't think it should have done the 30-day, because what's going to happen is all of a sudden at the very last minute they're going to either get the infusion of the money or it's not going to work.
Right, exactly.
All right, but we need to move on to the next topic, which is Square Enix, who are now expecting major losses. They've come out and confirmed that they have a huge loss of 13.7 billion yen, which is equivalent to about $134 million in this last fiscal year.
The yen? It sounds
because
so much
it's a
more
Japanese
drastic.
company.
I know, but it sounds so much more drastic.
It does sound much more drastic.
They're a multinational company.
Just get rid of the first two zeros.
Put it in lira. make it really big.
Or pesos.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. So much lira going down the drain. What are we gonna do?
That would be amazing. I would love it. Or you know what they should? Anytime that they have like a profit, they just need to do it that way.
In lira. Oh my God, they have trillions of lira.
Wow, they're doing really well. Oh my God.
They're just swimming in it.
And then anytime it's a loss, they do it in like pounds or something like that. Doesn't sound quite as bad. But yeah, so a lot of it's quoted on the underperformance of Tomb Raider, Hitman Absolution, and Sleeping Dogs, which I think for Tomb Raider, I still think that's just the fiscal year aspect. I think Tomb Raider did well enough.
Well, they did their earnings. They did their. This was the earnings report, but they had released the numbers for all three of those games 2 weeks ago, and we already knew they were going to be bad.
But that was as of the fiscal year that they were talking about, not because Tomb Raider came out at the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So they're going to get more sales afterwards. That would probably make it a successful game. I mean, I don't know. I still think it did well enough. But so that is what ended up causing Yoichi Wada to step down as being the CEO and president. So. On Sony's front, who's also a multinational company, there was a speculation or a rumor that Sony Electronics is going to break from Sony Entertainment. I don't think this is going to happen from reading into it. It's basically one of the shareholders, a major shareholder, sent out an email that he thought they should break apart from each other. And
then it snowballed from there.
But it seems like it's not really anything that's going to happen. And
I see the feasibility. I just don't see the possibility.
Right, but Sony Entertainment, for those wondering, Sony Entertainment actually isn't PlayStation. That is in regards to things like film and television. Like they have a Sony Entertainment out here in LA, in Culver Studios. But PlayStation is Sony Electronics, so you might think that it's entertainment, but it's actually under the electronics division. So the idea is, I think, Sony Entertainment is more successful.
Sony Computer Entertainment of America, right? SC.
Right, but it's still under the Sony Electronics as far as those two divisions go. I think Sony Entertainment's the more successful of the two right now, and that's why they wanted this break, is so they could invest more in that. But I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
But it's worth talking about to let you guys know and inform you. So with that said, let's get to some fun stuff with our gaming moments of the week.
Yay!
And I'm gonna pull a complete switch around here and start off with Raychul, because I always start off with Kaori, who's next to me. So Raychul, what is your moment of the week?
My moment of the week isn't per se like game. Well, it is gaming, but it's not me playing something. But it is something that you guys will be able to play soon, and that is Huntsman: The Orphanage. It's going to be an indie horror game, and the lead female character, if you play the female, will be voiced by me.
Yeah.
None other than Rachel. And Rachel, we have a picture up, and I'm assuming that is not the female character.
No.
Rachel,
like
you have like 8
Yeah, a little
arms
bit.
and
I can
Creepy
kind of
mask.
see it.
I know, right?
So I
my
believe-
next cosplay is
So
that.
the game's sort of like a Slender type of game, right? It's based off
Right.
of Slender.
Well, it's not based off of Slender, but it is scary and stuff.
Well, when I say Slender, I mean the myth of Slender, not
Right.
the game Slender.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is awesome. So everyone, Huntsman: The Orphanage, check it out. Support Rachel.
I want to see a game
Yeah.
with orphanage in the title where everything's fine and dandy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
Lately,
that doesn't seem to be
lately
a
it's all
horror.
been like, oh, if there's an orphanage involved, you know the shit's gonna hit the fan.
Orphanages are creepy because they're full of
Like
sad children.
Sim orphanage, how
That
you have to
have
run your own orphanage.
Yeah, sim orphanage.
Parent issues.
And the movie The Orphanage was a great horror movie.
It was a great horror
It
movie.
was good.
It was so good.
I like to
Yes.
buck
not
the
the movie The
trend.
Orphan.
I'm gonna make a positive spin orphanage game.
So everybody make sure you get the Huntsman Orphanage when it comes out and play as the female
When can we
character.
expect it?
I forgot.
Oh no! All right,
I
Grant,
know.
what is your moment of the week?
My moment of the week is actually kind of a big surprise for me because I really had expected them all to be sold out. But we had no, John, bad John.
That is the link you sent me, so.
Okay, my fault then. I can just describe it. That's fine. Play a game called Metagame for video games. It had a Kickstarter
You mean it's not
about a
MoMA
year.
Store?
No.
That's the card
They're
game.
selling. Yes, they're selling
Yeah.
it on the MoMA store. They're selling the last
Oh,
copies that they have.
They actually have it on the
Yeah,
mobile.
they have. Right now, it's
Oh, that's so
available.
good.
I can't express to you all how much I enjoyed this
so
game. I
fun.
bought 2 copies of it off the MoMA store. It made me sad because it was expensive, but it's worth it.
It is. It's really good.
So what you're saying is next time we have a gaming night, you're bringing it in and we're all playing.
And they
it.
already shipped them, so I should get them this next week. But just to express to you how limited the quantities of these things are, 357 people backed the Kickstarter. Certain people got 2 copies, certain people got 1, but not very many of these things exist in the wild. The fact that they're even available, as Rob probably knows, like
Yeah.
I tried to find one of these after we played it at G4, and I couldn't find it. They were sold out everywhere.
It's really tough. It's really tough to find them. I got a copy for a friend of mine, Matt.
Yeah.
And he brought it on to XPlay to show it off. But it's sort of the idea behind Metagame is that you're given a handful of cards, basically like 5 or 6 cards.
Yeah.
With games on them, like
Or however many people you're playing with.
Yeah,
we played it in
exactly.
a group of like 6 or 7.
Yeah. And so it'll be like Doom or The Sims or
Lemmings. It goes-
Lemmings.
let's go
It can-
pretty far back,
I mean,
yeah.
it goes far back. Like there's, anything that you can think of, even like modern games, like
Yeah. Like Fez
yeah,
and-
Fez,
and,
Assassin's Creed,
and Minecraft.
Yeah. And so, but then you get 2 cards where it's like, what game is the most artistic, or what game can people learn the most from, or what
Yeah.
game
Has the best art design.
has the best art
And it
design,
gets-
or
it
change
gets more
your life.
obscure than that as well.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
is this? Did you?
I paid $25 for
priceless.
both of them.
$1.35 million on the
No.
Kickstarter.
Each.
That's not bad.
Each.
Yeah.
So
And
for
so-
2 of them plus shipping, it cost me $60.
And so,
That's not that
and so
bad.
basically, what
No.
you do is you
There's an
have these
expansion,
hands
too.
of cards, and you pick out one of the things where it's like, this is the most game you want to take on a desert
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
And then you pick out one of the cards that, like, one of the games you have, like The Sims or something
Yeah.
like that, and then someone challenges you. And then, like, everyone else around becomes judges.
Oh my
And this sort
God.
of like tour de force where it's like you have to debate the other person in order to, prove like this is the game you want
Yeah,
on a
and
desert
then there's
island.
a judge who will
Yeah.
judge whether or not you described it or you convinced the.
I need to play
And
this.
it's a lot of performance. Like I've seen people who have very little knowledge of the game that they have, but as
Yeah,
long as you can have an impassioned plea, like
Yeah.
this is the game that you want. Parappa
There's
the Rappa
got to be
is the-
doo-doo games in there, right? Like
Oh my
really bad
God.
games. Hey,
Well,
Parappa
there's
the Rappa
Call
is
of-
No,
amazing.
like most
Most of them are pretty well
like classic
successful.
games.
Okay, because I wanted some like doo-doo games that I have to try and argue. Like, yeah, I would totally E.T. if I could take any
no.
game.
The drive
E.T.
comes
on
from the
Atari
fact-
is definitely the game I would take with me because it's a game that never ends basically
Right.
because it takes forever.
The drive
I
comes
want
from the fact that
this.
you'll have to defend a game like Lemmings against a game like Call of Duty,
Yeah.
saying which one's the better shooter.
Oh, but
There's
I mean,
no
Lemmings is a
shooting.
better shooter.
But like,
'cause
it's
you-
all about your ability to describe it.
But
Or
it's also,
I need this, I need
it's,
this.
It's also like defending games that you love
Yeah.
against games that
you
you
hate.
love.
And
Oh my god, I want this so bad, you guys.
And that's the game. It's
We'll
just
go
like,
buy it.
oh god, that's a great game. Oh, but I have a great game as well. So you have to make sure that you can somehow debate your great game versus
Yeah.
their great game.
Yes.
oh, that's my moment of the week.
I'm gonna play the hell out of this
Yeah,
game.
this is going to be a gaming night happening in
Drinking
the future.
game.
100%.
Holy shit, I want this game so bad.
All right. Kaori, what is your moment of the week?
Did a good job describing it then.
And Q. And
Okay.
Q, John, Q.
I think it takes a bit longer than that.
No,
It takes more than that. It's a brief second.
Okay, moment of the week, and now
My gaming moment of the week, a lot of people were tweeting us about Batman Arkham Origins has a small little trailer for their big trailer coming out May 20th.
Right, so their teaser.
Teaser.
So you would
Very
say.
teasy.
teaser.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so as we describe it for the people listening, it's basically a Batman fighting a bunch of assassins in the
Well, that
game.
would be
I think it looks really good.
An assassin.
Right, yes, an assassin. There's an N grammatically speaking. But it's for Arkham Origins, so therefore it takes place before Arkham City did, before Arkham Asylum. So, and it's actually made by a different studio. But the teaser trailer is now out, and they teased the full trailer, which is May 20th. So a
Yeah,
tease
the
of a
tease
trailer.
full trailer. That's right.
That's
tease of a
silliness.
But hey, I was excited to look at this little tease.
Yeah, well, I think Arkham City said was one of your favorite games.
Yes, it
right?
was one of my favorite
It's a
games.
teaser for a trailer
Yeah.
for an announcement.
But it's
Yes.
exciting.
That's
It's nice
ridiculous.
for us to see something.
Some fries.
Hey, you know
ridiculous.
what? We get excited about E3, which
Yeah.
is a set of teasers and
That's
announcements.
true.
So, hey,
Yeah.
you think about that.
I'm sorry. I'm excited
I
about
like your moment of the week. That's fine.
Thank
So
you.
That
no,
is
I
good.
like it
is
too.
Thank you,
good.
John.
It is good.
And
So-
everybody.
My moment of the week is not a teaser; it's a trailer. Oh,
Okay.
stepping it up.
Snap.
One up. This is why you decided to reverse the order because you did it.
That's why. Yeah, I
Oh, look,
planned
there's a
it.
trailer here.
I'm a schemer.
I'm not going to leave you with a teaser. I'm going to give you the trailer.
Exactly. So my
gotta
moment of
be a
the
young
week is for
person's
the
game.
announcement for Putty Squad, because I love platforming games. I love my old school games, and this was a game that initially came out for the Super Nintendo, which was an awesome game. And it looks like they are remaking. I believe they're making a new. They're changing it up too for the re-release of it. So Putty
Everything's so
Squad.
colorful.
New graphics. Yeah, it initially came out in 1992, which makes me feel a lot older now. So that was like what? How long ago was that? Like 20 years ago?
20 years
20,
ago.
20s,
Wow.
yeah.
21 years.
But yeah, it was a super fun
Jesus
game, and there's a
Christ.
lot of great classic games that didn't get that really didn't do well that people don't talk about, and I think this is one of them. So I'm
the way
excited
they walk
to see it
is so
come out.
cool. Did you see that?
Yeah, so I'm excited to see a game that doesn't get as much press as a lot of others
Look at that.
actually getting a
Everything he
trailer
does
and being
is cool.
re-released.
A little
He
bit of
is
Kirby
so
ripoff.
cute.
It's pretty adorable.
It's got a lot of different gameplay elements to it, and it was pretty cool and pretty unique.
This is adorable.
Yeah, it is. Adorable is the right word.
With that said, that is my gaming
Like
moment
not
of the week.
complex, not
is-
entertaining, adorable.
Is he eating hamburgers?
He is
Why
eating
would
hamburgers.
you?
And yeah, so he can punch, he can take different abilities and have different powers. So
What's that enemy?
It's like a.
it's a cat.
looks like a
thing.
very
it's a
badly
cat
dressed
with-
girl.
It's a
That's
cat with
thing
a duck.
that's not playing
bill.
piano in the
Okay, so they're all
background.
animals?
Yeah.
Ooh, that didn't go so well.
But so with that explosion, let's go ahead and jump over to John, because John had a moment of the week, which also is kind of a moment for me as well, because it relates to one of our favorite YouTubers. And John, I'll move it over to you.
What is that?
All right, well,
I hate babies.
I love babies.
all right, well,
Oh, gross.
I'm not a
ladies
baby
and
fan
gentlemen,
myself.
those of you who happen to be a fan of Dark Souls, Disgaea 2, and,
Dark Souls!
and a lot of other games, that you might recognize this man. His name is Marcus.
I am Marcus, and this.
And this video, just pause that.
I'd
This
love
is Dovahkiin.
to be able to put
Hold
out
on,
more regular.
let's go back.
I am Marcus,
Dovahkiin
and
Anakin.
this is Kristen Akadi. And she is basically the reason why, she's single-handedly the reason I haven't been able to make any videos for you guys for a while.
So yeah, so John and I, we watch these Let's Play videos as we were talking about Let's Play videos, and he also does lore videos for Dark Souls, and I don't really watch any Let's Play videos except for from him, because he's so knowledgeable about the lore of Dark Souls. It made me want to go replay Dark Souls a second or a third time, I think, and it got me really back into it, and he's just great personality. Seems like a great guy, and
She's very well behaved.
he stopped posting videos for a while because his name was Epic Name Bro. That's his Twitter handle, at Epic Name Bro. Go search him on YouTube, Epic Name Bro. Especially if you like Dark Souls, he also does lore videos because there's actually a really deep, rich lore and story to Dark Souls that a lot of cool things that your first playthrough you would totally miss about the story that's really hidden in there that he discovered and explains to you.
I like how happy he is. He hasn't stopped smiling the whole. Okay, well now he's not. But he hadn't stopped smiling through the whole video.
He's a new dad. What do you
It's like
expect?
a 10-pound weight.
It's cute. It's sweet.
He's also a YouTuber. He does this for profession.
No, he actually doesn't do this for a profession. He talks in this video about how he got approached by companies to do Let's Play videos for them for money, and he said no. And he's keeping his normal. He has a full-time normal job. He just does this on the side. I don't think he does really make money off of it.
Aww.
But he gets like 60 to 100,000 views per video, including the lore videos. And the lore videos are just explanatory videos. But he just always comes off as a great guy, and John and I are huge fans of him.
He's like my number one YouTube personality that I consistently go to.
There's an Epic Name Bromance going on here.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll bring up his YouTube page.
So yeah, his name is Epic Name Bro, and we were saying now he's Epic Name Dad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Congratulations on the baby.
Bro, there we go.
Epic Name Bro. Congratulations on being a new dad.
Yeah, congratulations, Epic Name Bro.
There's his YouTube page for everyone up there to see, and send him congratulations
for Epic Name Baby.
Yeah,
Epic Name Baby.
And check out his videos. I heartily suggest you.
I totally thought you were gonna tell me that guy was gonna name his baby like something after Skyrim.
Yeah.
Or from Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have a moment?
I think I can have a moment.
So,
gotta talk to you about something.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I was doing it off mic for a reason, Grant. Thank you so much.
Killed it.
All right, so yeah, so that's I mean, a funny Lions fan on the chat says, I think Dave wishes this was his moment of the week. Anytime you hear Dark Souls, I get excited. Yes, I do. You are absolutely right.
I swiped it from him, so you can blame me.
No, but yeah, I think I sent John the video, which is the funny. I sent John that video.
Feel free to share your guys' own gaming moment of the week.
Yeah, we love to hear your moments of the week. And actually, our guest Rob has his own moment of the week.
I've had a moment.
I had a moment.
Did you just have a moment?
I think I had a moment right now. That's my moment of the week. Thank you for sharing this with me. Actually, my moment of the week, I'm trying to remember if it was this week or last week. Candy Box.
Oh yeah.
That came out.
Dear God.
And that was a good like couple of days of just like letting it run on my computer and seeing like.
So you left it running.
I left it running.
Okay.
That's how you go. But if you haven't played Candy Box, go online, Candy Box game, or you just Google search that.
I have not.
Wow. And it is a game where if you look at it, it is pretty much like text based, and the idea is that you get candy like at a certain interval. And you can
Are you part of the candy mafia, Rob?
There it is.
That sounds great.
That's the game right there.
Oh, you've only got 8 candies.
And you're given a chance to like, oh, do you want to throw the candy on the ground? Do you want to eat the candy? And it's like, oh, I don't know.
What should we do? We got 16 candies, 17. It's growing. Should we eat them?
Throw it. Just
wow.
throw
So yeah,
it.
every second our candies are growing. Literally.
Throw it in their face.
You can eat all the candy.
Throw them on the ground.
There you
no!
go. Oh,
John ate the candies instead of throwing on the ground.
But
We ate 23.
Yeah, and so like this is how the game starts out, and really,
it gets very complicated.
It gets completely complicated because if you
while
let
still remaining simple.
If you let it go for a while, you find a candy seller that comes to you.
Who is actually the 4th Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And so he can trade lollipops.
He should show up in a second.
Candy.
Throw some on the ground.
Throw them on the ground.
Throw them on the ground.
All right, hold on.
And then you find out that
candy.
if you happen to sell, off like enough stuff, then you can actually get a sword, and you use the sword to go on quests. And then once you get on a quest, you can get a key to get a farm that you can grow lollipops, but you have to plant lollipops to get the farm.
Oh my God, this is amazing!
And then once you get that stuff, you can get better equipment, and then you can get.
You fight Chuck Norris in this game. Let me just tell you this.
Oh, I'm so gonna play this.
It is a Alice in Wonderland sort of rabbit hole that you fall down. Basically, this is what you should do. You should start up the game
and leave it running on your computer for a couple
something
days.
else.
Okay.
Just like go see a movie.
Star Trek.
Okay.
Go see Star Trek, and then you come back and you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, what the hell am I looking
at? I'm so excited. I'm going to do this for the rest of the day.
Can you play it on your...
No, well, I'm sure you can look it up on
iOS.
On iOS or like your browser, whatever you have. But it's like it's sort of like if you also another game that's very similar to this is Frog Fractions.
Yeah.
Where once again, like you start off where it's a very simple sort of idea of a game, and then at a certain point you just go down this rabbit hole. Oh, there he is.
Doctor has arrived.
There's the fourth Doctor.
Buy them. Buy
My goodness.
Buy them.
And then after,
Rachel's living vicariously through your playing a game across.
there's other things.
Just play.
Buy
Happy
candy.
live.
But there's other
Buy the
things too,
candies
like
quickly.
click his hat.
Pineapple. Gross.
What? Click his hat.
Click his hat. Yep, there we go.
Oh, you pissed him off. Don't touch the
Wow,
hat.
that's crazy.
Hey, you touch my- no, but
no.
you get extra candy for
You
it.
never touch a man's hat.
But you get extra candy
Oh,
for
he
it.
Oh, so
likes the
apparently
bad
he
touch.
likes
I
the
think they
touch.
like when
Oh,
you
he
touch
likes
them.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that there's
liked
like little
that.
mini games and little mini systems throughout the whole thing.
I got to hell and then I gave up.
Oh my God.
yeah, there's- it
this is
gets
gonna be
really
my
tough.
day. This is
Yeah.
all I'm gonna do.
Well, that looks amazing. I'm definitely have to
Yeah, I'm gonna go
jump on
play
that.
that.
So with that though, that is our moments of the week, and let's move on to some quotes. And for that's a quote because we've got a whole bunch of them. And THQ, Danny Bilson, who is spent 4 years as the executive vice president of core games at THQ, came out and kind of discussed why they were successful in the past and why he thinks they might have faltered. And he's quoted saying, THQ was brilliant at what it did from 1991 to 2007. He goes on to say, but there were legacy issues. It's hard to let go of how the company had done so well. We were slower because of that as time progressed. And eventually he says, we were shutting, as he had to shut down studios, we were shutting studios the whole time, and I was the guy going out there and giving the bad news. It's like the worst thing it's the worst thing. I'll stop right there. Awful. And he mentions that when he left THQ a year ago, he didn't see what eventually happened on the horizon. Quote, I'm not kidding, okay? We knew we were in trouble, but we knew we had a good lineup, and I thought we had enough money put away to support that stuff, finish it, and market it properly.
The money just disappeared.
We had a plan to live another day. So it didn't quite work out for THQ as they were still in debt, even after selling,
everything,
auctioning everything off. So they were like really in the deep to that song as well. So it's kind of I like hearing the perspective of his perspective where he didn't even realize they were that in the deep even as far as who he was. I mean, maybe he did and he's not saying it in this interview.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, like the interview, like I read through it and I noticed that they didn't, like they talk about like all the great, you know, games that they had coming out, but they didn't really touch on Homefront.
Yeah.
In the system, and Homefront, like
Homefront's one of those games they spent a lot on the marketing.
They spent a ton of money on Homefront, and they were like part of one of the things. Like
that was their game that they really needed to sell like 4 million right out of the gate,
pretty
and
much.
they just didn't even come close.
But and like Danny is a really smart guy, but he's also from Hollywood, and he thinks of like I had a sense that he thought of games as sort of like being a means to an end rather than being an end to themselves.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that he was pushing was this transmedia idea that
they had a freaking food truck driving down Wilshire with the guy on it.
The
blindfolded guy.
But they would have these things where it was like, you know, we're gonna have this, and we're gonna have books for these things, and we're gonna have like a TV show,
comic, and then
a comic, and a movie.
Wow, Defiance?
Yeah.
Well, I actually, it can be done badly and it can fail, but I think it can be done to some certain amount of success. Despite the success or the sales of Dead Space, like I really enjoyed the transmedia of Dead Space, the comic and then the anime.
And I think it could be done well, but I think it is also, it's one of those things where he was so much into like, we need to make this like a movie. We need to make, because he was at a certain point, he was like, we gotta take away like all of these like little mini games that we're making, and like focus on making like tentpole, like the big movie
entertainment.
studios.
Like we want to be able to draw these entertainment studios
is really
to make
smart,
everything.
Which like if I was Microsoft, like I would pick up Danny to run like their media program.
Yeah.
Because I think like he understands like where gaming's coming from, but he's definitely a Hollywood kind of guy. Like he's the guy who's going to get like the shows and the movies out there, and he's going to figure out like how things are going to work that way.
But I think it's also the other thing to note from this is him talking about how successful they were and how they were slow to change with adapting times. And I think we've seen a lot of companies struggle with that, and THQ is just one of the ones who was hit the hardest by that. So I think that's just another thing that I took away from it. It's just how many companies are struggling and adapting to the way things have been changing.
Of all the companies that have failed in the last year, I think the theme throughout has been the mismanagement of the marketing and the shortfall of the sales.
Well, I mean, Homefront also just didn't get good reviews. It just wasn't reviewed well.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how. I mean, like it costs a certain amount to make. Right. Yeah, it costs a certain amount to market, but we're talking about like even with big, huge games. When these game companies fail, they only sell like 400,000 copies of something, but they needed to sell 3.8 million to break even. Like it shocked me with what was it, Kingdoms of Amalur and like some of that stuff.
Game.
Yeah, but they didn't come close to breaking even.
Yeah, they did really poorly.
And we're saying the same thing with Square, where they're like, we have to have X number of games.
Yeah, and they didn't come close.
And like these are solid games that they're coming out with. Like,
yeah, Tomb Raider sold quite well.
Tomb Raider
theoretically, but then it's like they're saying that we're still not making money on it.
Yeah, Hitman was a solid game, but it's once again it's just like they have to figure out like how many games do they need.
And it's
to
the
sell.
same with almost all the THQ properties that he was talking about.
I mean, a lot of it is just the rising cost of game development too.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, well then cut the cost down.
Right, but then how are you going to compete with the companies that aren't?
All right. Well, an interesting thing that I saw the other week when there was like this announcement that said, "Oh, BioShock Infinite it hit like 3-point-something million for 2K, and that was considered a success."
3.7 million units.
Yeah, Tomb Raider sold about the same amount, and that was considered a flop.
And it was
not a
considered
flop, but
well, considering the time that we're speaking of, BioShock Infinite is what, a 3 months game now.
Way better game, anyway.
But yeah, they still have many more sales that they'll be able to get.
I think I actually enjoyed Tomb Raider more.
What? No, Tomb Raider's forgettable.
I enjoyed it more.
Like Tomb Raider what?
Who could levy a stronger response than forgettable?
Yeah,
I enjoyed
totally
it.
Forgettable.
I enjoyed it.
Infinite
I forgot about it.
I enjoyed BioShock Infinite, but I actually enjoyed my time with Tomb Raider more.
No, breaking my heart.
Honestly, I'm being honest. All right,
That's why we have you both here. You can
exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Warren Spector, because I mean, we hear this all the time in the game industry, especially from developers. But he now talked about this on GamesIndustry.biz that he's not a fan of Metacritic, and here is why.
Nobody is.
Quote, nobody. Well, nobody who makes games is. Quote, beyond questions of the utility of its data, there are two aspects of Metacritic's methods that are undercut its credibility in my eyes and should, I think, call its accuracy and even the validity of its data into question. First, the aggregation of data is skewed by the selection of review sites included in the aggregation. Second, the data are skewed by the weighing and summary conversion systems employed by the people behind Metacritic's ratings. And he goes on to say, and you know what? Despite significantly lower Metacritic scores, Disney's Epic Mickey is the best-selling game I've ever worked on by a substantial margin. So, and this is in his 30-year career. So, I mean, I get what he's saying about Metacritic, and it kind of just raises the question is, do we agree with him that Metacritic has a slew of problems, or do we think it's fine being there?
I hate Metacritic.
It has a slew of problems.
Yeah.
I think it has a slew of problems.
I think the thing that shocked me was the fact that they came out and revealed some of the methods behind their weighting last year. And it was just like it just like threw a bunch of people a curveball, because they really didn't expect that they had their hand guiding these numbers so heavily as they were.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing though is that, I mean, I like sites like Rotten Tomatoes though, and I don't know why. What is it about Metacritic where I prefer Rotten Tomatoes over something like Metacritic? Whereas when Rotten
Tomatoes, I've actually given my own weight to the two individual scores, critics and viewers.
Right.
And I don't think people are quite willing, have done that as much with Metacritic. Metacritic is more like a number, plain simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because I think it's because Rotten Tomatoes does a good job of really making it so focus is those snippet quotes from reviewers, whereas Metacritic doesn't do a good job with that.
And most movies are rated on like the 5-point scale, where it is like, 1 to 5 stars, where with video games you can have a range from,
it's all over the place.
A letter grade, you can do 1 to 5, you can do 1 to 100, you can do 1 to 100 with like point whatever to go along with it, and it's just this crazy, and it's up to them, not the people actually reviewing the game.
But that's what Metacritic was supposed to do. Is they were supposed to. I mean, like a number of outlets changed to go in line with it.
And it is actually like at the end of the G4, we actually switched from the 5-point scale. Yeah, the 5-point scale. I mean, we did the 5-point scale, but then it was like the point scale.
The half point scale.
Half point. So that a median scale, like in order to get
so that it would work
to weigh out,
yeah.
it would have to be a 3.5 in order instead of like a 3.
Right, because the 3 ends up being a 6, even though you're saying that's a good, decent game.
Yeah,
But then the 6 doesn't sound like a decent game.
No, it's
right.
Yeah.
But it is funny though how that works in the industry. Where you're right, the movie industry is much more. Everybody kind of understands the 1 to 5 stars, and everybody uses that.
Yeah.
Whereas games, like someone rates something a C, like 1UP would rate it a C. And that usually means 70 to people, but if you go on a scale of 1 to 5, it means it's like a 60. So I mean, it's hard to find how people, because no one really all agrees on the same right way to rate a game.
I think the lesson is stop being lazy. Just stop being lazy, people. Go in, read the review, find people you trust.
Yeah, I've done much better reading people that I trust their opinions.
Follow people. Find someone out there that you like.
Because I love seeing
you don't have to like
10,000 user reviews 2 days before a game launches, dragging the game down just because people read one review and then basically based their entire opinion on it.
But like, go out there and be like, oh, you know, this is someone that I follow. This is someone whose opinion I trust when it comes to games.
Well, do you guys really pay attention to game reviews and base?
Yes.
You really do, because I don't.
I mean, I take some of them with salt, but then I do read them.
No. ADV Zafan on the chat says, I don't buy shit based on any scores. I follow my gut. And I think if you've been a gamer long enough, a lot of I know, like I tend to look.
Censored himself.
Yeah, he did censor himself, and I uncensored him.
You're gonna make his mother cry, Dave.
I know already pretty much what I'm gonna like and what I'm not gonna like in a game.
I mean, for the most part, if I watch like a trailer, I can pretty much judge how much, or gameplay at least, I can pretty much judge how much satisfaction I'll get out of the game at this point in the game.
Every now and then, something comes out, and I like Spec Ops: The Line, completely blew it off. It's like, this is not my kind of game. It's just Call of Duty, whatever. And a lot of people on Twitter were like, "No, you've got to check it out. It's awesome," and it was amazing.
Yeah,
for all you people wondering right now, Metro Last Light, go ahead and check it out. It's getting hammered for some of the reviews, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, there's a game I played when I was interning at X-Plane. I can't remember the name of it, but I was really surprised. You play as like a bulky beast guy, and there's a girl sidekick. He seemed like someone straight out of the Jersey Shore. Enslaved,
Enslaved is a great game.
Such a good game.
That's a game that if I watched it because of the Jersey Shore bulky dude, it kind of brings off a bad presentation, but it's actually really good.
It's
there are surprises.
It's very good, well acted.
I've never heard anybody refer to that guy as the Jersey Shore bulky dude.
Well, it's funny.
I guess he's tan and
if
everything.
you watch Jersey Shore, he literally looks like Ronnie from Jersey Shore. If you've ever seen that show,
I never really made the connection.
He looks just like him.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I hadn't really made the connection.
Go with your gut, and you guys pretty much know what games you like or don't like, right?
But yeah, I agree with what Rob says, though.
I've been burned before, though. I've been burned pretty bad.
Yeah, and this is true as well. Like, people who like, oh, you know, the next, you know, whatever 3 of this game that's coming out, I gotta get it, and it's
Black Ops. We'll just throw that out there.
Whatever game it may be, it's like you'll get very excited about a game. For me, it was Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, what if Batman Arkham Origins sucks?
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
your little teaser trailer.
Again, like, I think there's also a value to having someone who can find games, new games that you never knew existed out there.
Right.
In order for you to be like, oh, this is a really good game. You should try it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so many games out there right now.
Well, let's touch on that and let's get to the current state of indie gaming.
Current state of indie gaming.
Current state of indie gaming. So what's funny is now we're seeing that various websites are now pushing to check out E3 because there's going to be tons of indie game announcements. And someone who tends to find a lot of those indie games for us is sitting right on the couch, Rob Manuel. So, Rob, what are some games that we should be looking out for right now?
I mean, there are literally so many games. There's so many games out like right now.
Yeah.
If you enjoy world building, Reese just came out, where you get to play the controller of these 3 giants on this world, and each of the giants controls, like, one of them is like mountains, and the other one's the ocean, the other one is forest, and there's one that controls swamps, and you can like go through and you can sort of develop the civilization through these 3 giants as you go along.
What's that called again?
Reese, Reus. It is, I think, Swedish
sounds
for
like
giant.
Roost to me.
Or Roost.
I love
I don't know.
building.
I'll take either one.
I,
If you enjoy tower defense, but you also enjoy first-person shooters, Sanctum 2 just came out.
Yeah.
this week.
interesting combination
And I
there.
have to
Well,
say-
it does meld it really well.
It melds it really well, and I was a big fan of
The first
one, and I have to say, like, they have really ratcheted it up the second one. Like, it is really tough. Like, you are more sort of like head-to-head with these giant monsters that are coming after you. You have more classes to choose from, and I think it's like it's a beautiful game as well to go along with it. If you are someone who likes sort of like survival games, Don't Starve just came out, finally out of beta. It's one of these games where it was from Mark of the Ninja, guys who did Mark of the Ninja
Love
and stuff
that.
they've made this sort of Edward Gorey survival game that sort of everything looks like paper, but you're having to like find shelter, and you having to find wood, and you're having to like build things at night, and you're having to keep warm, and there's insanity meters, and there's these wild creatures, and you're having to like.
You have me very intrigued.
I know,
you have
right?
to hunt down buffalo, and you have to hunt down like these pigs, and you have to
had
like.
me at hunting buffalo.
And then like at a certain point, like you have to like, even though it's like this wide open game, there's like a point in which you have to go against the devil. And so you're building a device in order to open up a war, like this hole into hell, where you're having to meet against the devil in order to get yourself out.
So what
need
is
to
the
play
style of this game? I mean, is it more like the game that's coming? We were talking about coming to PS4, the indie game that was on Steam. We were talking about just earlier.
Oh, the Lone Survivor.
Is it kind of like Lone Survival, like 2D survival horror, or is it more like a 3D?
It's a 3D sort of like 3/4 view sort of game. Open world. It's also the game changes every time. So if you happen to die while you're playing it, the next time you go into the world, it's going to change completely. So things that you thought were there, like resources and so on and so forth, will completely change like where it is.
Yeah.
Stuff like what else was I playing? Among the Sleep is they just had their alpha that was put out this week, which is a little bit of here and there, but it's this great atmospheric game where you play as a toddler.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know if Rachel would like that game.
That's terrifying.
No, it's a terrifying game. That's like the whole thing. Like you play as a toddler and you're trying to save your parents from like these creatures that are like in the house, and so you're having to like crawl around, you're having like to scoot underneath like furniture.
Aw.
Like it is a wonderfully terrifying game, and I'm so looking forward to like Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs. They made
Yeah.
Amnesia was great.
They made an
Amnesia's
I
announcement
love
that
it.
there's a new company, the Chinese Room is actually taking it over.
Wait, when you said the Chinese Room, I was like, wait, is there finally a sequel to The Room?
No. No. They are making a sequel to that room as well.
Good. That's such a good game.
But the Chinese Room is they were the people who made Dear Esther, which is also
the tech demo.
Is that good? I have it.
Dear Esther is really good. Like the thing with indie games is there are so many indie games, and there are so many like varieties of indie games, and they're doing so many amazing and wonderful and special things. Dear Esther is an example of like telling a story through a video game that you could not tell any way else, because you are going through this in first person. You're sort of like picking up bits and pieces of the story every time as you go through it. And the thing is, like, every time you play the game, the story slightly changes because items that you thought were there, or like signs and things like that, will change placement.
Yeah.
And sometimes like the narrator says things in different places, and so the story sort of like melds into something that's very different.
I kind of found Lone Survivor to be one of those types of games that only you could really pull off in the medium of games, which was very cool about it. Yeah, so it's cool though that we're seeing indie really reach mainstream with the fact that E3 is even talking about, because they've been there, but they never talk about it.
Right.
And now they're actually talking about it and trying to promote that indie games are going to be there.
I think it's one of those things where it's Sony had their big conference just recently, and they've been pushing a lot of indie games for that. Hopefully Xbox will be pushing their indie games. Like, it is a source of content that reaches it doesn't reach the broadest perspective, but it reaches like very select audiences. So
Right.
These indie games haven't really sold consoles though.
No.
So I'd be really weird. I mean, like I wouldn't discount it, but I would say like you'd be hard pressed because like it hasn't gotten to the point where Microsoft or Sony for that matter really have to cater to these indie developers to really make a buck. Like,
but at the same time, we're finding less and less of like the bigger games selling consoles as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're looking at like, yes, Journey's not going to sell another PS3, but
if you were to compare the sales of Minecraft to the sales of Tomb Raider, for example, it's a pretty dismal difference.
And you know, I mean, like. Yeah, Minecraft is a perfect example of a game that came out of nowhere and then all of a sudden...
But that's just like one out of what's a crop of hundreds and thousands.
Yeah, but the thing with indie games for me is that's where most of the creativity in the industry is now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is we actually had Sid Meier this week talking about another quote from him, how he thinks that core gamers are still important because at the end of the day, that's the people who are going to stick around with you and promote your console.
Right.
Yes.
So as far as us talking about like, well, these indie games aren't going to sell consoles, you also have to consider that from us being core gamers, and these are games that I would look at, and I know Rob looks at, and you guys would look at. That's kind of a reason for us to kind of promote the system to people we know, like, oh, you should get the PS4, it's gonna have this, this, and this, or you should get the new Durango or 720 or whatever, Infinity, whatever they're gonna call it.
Right.
So I think it might also make someone who's gonna stick around longer promote their system a little harder.
But I mean, at the same time, like a lot of these indie games, like I think they're going back to the old school. Like they're actually like really tough games.
Yeah, Shovel Knight looks awesome.
Unabashedly, we were just talking about Guacamelee before.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Guacamelee is unabashedly tough in places where it wants you to do things with like pressing like 3 or 4 different button combinations.
And it's not unpolished either. It's very colorful, very
beautiful,
polished.
very well done. The music is fantastic. Like
the music is great.
See, and here's the thing too, and that's why I'm glad someone like you is here, Rob, is because there really are, as we're talking about, more and more and more indie games, hundreds of thousands of them now, and a lot of them honestly do suck. There's a lot of really bad ones, so it's good that there are really good ones.
Right.
It's good to have someone like you who can show us what games there are.
But once again, it's all about taste. Like something that sucks for one person doesn't necessarily suck for another.
Well, when I'm saying something that sucks, I just mean it's a bad
from
game.
word of mouth more than other games. I will say this: when I was working with you, I learned about half of the stuff I played as far as indie games from you and from your recommendations. Like I would have not even picked up Kentucky Route Zero if you hadn't mentioned it to me, and I would still not have played it.
Fantastic game. And once again, Kentucky Route Zero is one of these games that depends on how much you put into the game is how much you're going to get out of the game. You can go from point A to point B and still not see half the stuff in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that when I'm saying like bad games, I think there are games that someone makes that they just don't finish it. There's glitches, and it's just generally just not a very well-made game. Everyone has different tastes, I agree, but there's the general that it's not a good game.
And there are definitely games like that, but I enjoy also indie games for the fact that these developers keep working on the game even after the game comes out, and will be like,
unless you're the guy that made Fez.
No.
Rob, are we ever going to see Owlboy?
It is pretty difficult to.
We will see Owlboy at some point. Like he's been working on Owlboy.
I want to see Owlboy.
Like we'll see Owlboy, Iconoclast. Like there are people that will pick up these games and will just run with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Natural Selection 2, I think is a great, another great game. And it's a good game to begin with, but they even went into it and actually they were like, we're going to make this big game even better looking. So they even put in a new patch, and all this stuff is free.
And they're good members of the community. I mean, with all the indie games that came out in the last 2 weeks, you see them playing it. Like with Monaco, they're playing it in the Natural Selection 2 offices.
Monaco is such a beautiful game. I highly recommend it if you happen to have more than 3 controllers in your house to pick up Monaco.
It does benefit from having multiple people playing.
What system?
This 360 and PC.
Nice.
All right. Well, Rob, before we move on to some questions and comments, why don't you go ahead and talk about what you're doing right now with Game Trailers?
Actually, yes. So I'm with Game Trailers. We are looking forward to actually this week with Microsoft's big announcement. We will be airing the Microsoft press conference. You can watch it live on GameTrailers.com as well as on Spike. And proceeding right afterwards, there's going to be a new Game Trailers TV with all new like information about like behind the scenes Xbox. And if you get bored, you can look beforehand where I actually produced the pre-show, and you can see some of the great content that really comes out of Game Trailers. Like we have some really talented guys. I also work on Next Tech that looks over all of the next-gen gaming technology. I work on Science of Games that looks into all the science that's in game, that's in the technology. Bonus round, it's a great roundtable discussion with some industry insiders, and finally, like Indieverse, give it some love.
Yeah, Indieverse.
Hopefully we can get something up and running again, but look for more indie stuff coming from me on the site.
And I mean, the pre-show's not if you get bored. That's the main show because you produced it. Yeah. That's where it's really at.
But it's great content. You can see all the content right now. These guys really put in a lot of love and a lot of like quality into this. The Final Bossman, I think, is a really great sort of like breakout show for people looking for a little information as well as comedy.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
And before we wrap up, I want to talk about some questions and comments from you guys. So Ryan Whittleson, and that's at Rogue98, agrees with you, Kaori, that his moment of the week was the teaser for Batman Arkham Origins. And then we asked you guys, what are your thoughts on EA's exclusive rights to Star Wars, as that happened last week? And NPR Art, and that's Roger Michael Pat, tweeted at us, being a former employee of EA, I fear the yearly title treatment coming with the whole Star Wars deal. Mm-hmm. Which you never know. Jacob Swift on the YouTube says KOTOR was not, comments, KOTOR was not an EA game. BioWare was not an EA game. No, BioWare is a company. BioWare was its own independent company then. Now EA has renamed multiple studios to BioWare just to gain the extra buck off customers who think they're going to get a BioWare title and they are not. EA sucks. That's why they were named the worst company in America 2 years in a row.
I think
John, why don't you go ahead and jump on that, because you actually responded to him on YouTube.
Yeah,
John,
I responded to this guy on YouTube. He is actually correct. KOTOR at the time was actually published by LucasArts, developed by BioWare, but at a certain point, EA acquired BioWare and bought it, and then it proceeded to give BioWare money to expand itself, which is how we had the new offices that opened up in Austin. The BioWare Austin, and then now there are divisions that are within EA buildings that are BioWare divisions, but you know, it's all under, it's like it's more or less like BioWare is still operating, but they now have a big nanny looking over their shoulder, and that nanny is EA. BioWare,
but it's still the same company. It's still the same company, but bigger.
BioWare is still good, but not as good as they used to be.
Well, I mean, that happens with a lot of companies, though. I wouldn't necessarily blame EA.
I blame EA.
I don't know if I blame EA.
We got a lot of them going out of business too. So cross your fingers.
But so Aaron Squire, because we've been talking about violence in games the past couple weeks, comments that talking about violence in video games and linking it to real life violence, which is on the fringes of society, isn't helpful. It's better to look at how we as gamers have started to rage more and more. I wish someone would start talking about sportsmanship and parents being a better example for their children to follow. And I think that's a good point. A lot of it really comes down to sportsmanship and people just being bad sports when you play online games.
They're going to be in any type of competition, no matter what, though.
But yeah, I think it's any type of competition. I think that's just a general issue of sportsmanship. But question of the week for you guys is, how do you feel about Nintendo's statement on Let's Play YouTube videos, and do you think it's a big deal? Do you think that at least they're not taking down content? Do you think that it sucks that they're doing this, or do you guys just not give a crap? So what do you think about that? Let us know. And with that said, and with some awesome Dark Souls music, thank you, John, we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. So, guys, once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein, that's Klein, or go to my website, djk-online.com.
And you can find me on Losing My Voice. You can find my voice on Twitter and on my Facebook page at KAORIOUS.
During the week, you can follow me at GAK on Twitter, and I'm also writing daily and weekly reviews on nerdluster.com.
And I'm just at the Raychul on Twitter, and my website is Raychul.com.
Pretty easy. And Rob?
What?
Rob, what about you?
What do you do? Where are you?
I'm just happy to put on pants in the morning. I'm an 8-bit whiz.
The number 8.
Yeah,
the number 8. BITWIZ.
There you go.
So follow Rob on 8-Bit Wiz. And John, what about you? Where are you hanging out? What corner? What street corner this week?
Actually, I'm hanging out somewhere new. You might recognize it as...
I don't recognize it. Sorry.
You should.
Oh, the Neverland, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Neverhood.
The Neverhood, yeah, that's what it is. So, John, hang on the Neverhood as we wrap up the show. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week.
That's more memorable.
Yeah.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.